One when I was 4, my birth parents found me, and for the first time, I was taken by a bodyguard to that mansion on the hill that looked like a palace. The fake sister walked over wearing an elaborate puffy dress with a fancy hair clip and asked, "Are you the daughter of Zoe, the cleaner?" So innocent and pure, the me raised by foster parents should have been overwhelmed by this kind of display. But, sorry, this time I've been reborn. I opened my eyes, watching the scenery pass by outside the car window. Besides little me curled up in the leather business seat, all that was there was the bodyguard in black suit and sunglasses driving the car. I stared blankly out the window, showing no childlike innocence, maybe even a bit bored. I couldn't understand why someone like me, with no will to live, was given a second chance. I recalled for a moment. I think I died by suicide in my last life. Something like that. The car sped ahead, following the same path as before, towards the place that had trapped me for a lifetime. The mansion oozed luxury, the kind only the upper class could afford. Inside was a perfect family of 4, the father, a powerful CEO, the mother, a beautiful, elegant, wealthy lady, the brother, a gentle and handsome protector of his sister, and the innocent, well-behaved little sister, adored by all. The family cherished their little daughter so much that they held off sending her to preschool until she was 4. Ironically, during her preschool physical, they were shocked to learn their beloved Jewel was not their biological child. The real daughter had been swapped at birth and lived in a backward, remote village called Jane Village for 4 years. Though hard to accept, the wealthy parents immediately brought their biological daughter back from the fishing village. But they couldn't predict the day they'd tell that returning daughter, "You're so vicious. I'd rather you died out there." Considering the fake daughter, even the always gentle brother would stand protectively in front of the fake sister and coldly tell his real sister, "Let it go." My fiancé, whom I had rarely met due to our arranged marriage, looked at me with nothing but disdain. From the moment I was brought back, everyone thought the fake sister was better, more well-behaved, more pitiful. The true princess, who seemed to return to a life of riches, lived a life of constant comparison, disdain, and betrayal. Longing for love and hurt by love, I felt warm tears on my face, but I didn't feel any sadness. My dull, wooden mind moving, but only capable of mocking how emotional this body was. I remembered a voice before everything went dark in my last life. Main character power. Cannot fight. Cannot fight. If I can't fight, why let me be reborn? Is it not enough entertainment watching the pathetic imprisoned beast I was in my past life? Or was my previous life just not ridiculous enough? The car was silent, no one to answer me. I was taken to the mansion, where David and Mary were already waiting on the sofa, along with a 9-year-old boy named Jack. Maybe they didn't think to put me in clean clothes before coming. I was still in dirty hand-me-downs from my foster parents' cousin, and wearing worn-out slippers. My hair was yellowed and clumped together. I didn't miss that flicker of surprise and complexity in their eyes. I didn't know if they disliked my clothes, or just me. Mommy, from the spiral staircase, a girl in a puffy dress, with slightly curled hair adorned with a sparkling clip, walked down slowly, followed closely by a nanny. Her dress was really beautiful, with bright colors and exquisite embroidery of rabbits and flowers. See, in a moment, all eyes turned to her. I have to admit, in my last life, even in secret, I envied Lisa. Even while holding on to the ridiculous facade of being the true princess, I envied her. Her parents loved her so much they exchanged me for her to have a good life. My parents loved her too. Not many knew she was fake before I died. My brother also loved her, constantly siding with her. Everything that was mine loved her. I was the only one who hated her. My name is Jane, but before I was found by my birth parents, I was called Joe, living in Jane Village. My lifelong rival is Lisa, a name conjured by David and Mary with hopes and expectations. Everything she had before and after was originally mine. She has the ability to see through everything and a poor disguise, yet I could never beat her. In the end, I lost. I don't want to fight anymore. I'm tired. No longer can I feel joy from the tiny bits of attention they spare me. Lisa. Mary instinctively stood up from the sofa, walking over, then recalled something, glancing complicatedly at the nanny behind Lisa, who awkwardly lowered her head. Lisa walked toward me, as though naturally drawn to me. She noticed me immediately, perhaps because my clothes really stood out in this wealthy crowd. like a little beggar. Even her nanny was dressed better than me. She rubbed the eyes she'd just cried with, and in an innocent tone asked, "Who are you? Are you the daughter of Zoe, the cleaner?" The same words, leaving David and the others stunned, watching us like spectators. How was I in my past life? Oh, I was so scared I plopped right down on the ground, only thinking about how soft it was. The beautiful cushion softer than the sandy beaches after the tides. First impressions are important, and Lisa had natural advantages. From our first meeting in the past, I lost completely. She was fair and adorable, but I was frail and insignificant, inviting dislike. My tears flowed, timid and hesitant. Did my mom sell me away? She said if I'm not good, she'd sell me. Jane isn't bad. Too, I tried hard to stifle my sobs, wanting to show the onlookers that I was scared, but trying to hold it together like a sad little creature. Lisa loved pulling this trick. It would instantly draw everyone's sympathy, making it seem like she was the saddest person alive. In my past life, I scoffed at it, but now, I find it kind of amusing. She wasn't very bright, and her tricks weren't clever either. Riding on that so-called main character halo, she received a lot of mindless favoritism. I lost count of how many grievances I endured because of it. Now, I want her to get a taste of her own medicine. Fight fire with fire, right? Mary's tearful sobbing came from the sofa, and with a bit of self-loathing, I wondered if she was really that sad. Would she realize she was one of the straws that broke the camel's back? Watching Lisa slowly take over my things. Lisa stood there, focused on me, with a hint of a smile playing on her lips. My pathetic display seemed to please her. Like a princess, she looked down at me and, in a condescending way, said, "You look so pitiful. I'll talk to my mom later. You can become my little maid." I laughed inside, waiting for the real player to arrive. "Rubbish," exclaimed a woman in her 40s, richly dressed, as she entered the room, followed by her assistant holding a briefcase. The whole room went silent after she spoke, and even Mary stopped sobbing. "Grandma," Lisa called out sweetly, lifting her skirt as she ran over. Clearly, she was doted upon by her grandmother. However, it hurt her when her beloved grandma passed her by and instead crouched in front of the little beggar she thought I was. Grandma stroked my dull hair, smiling gently. "What's your name?" I dropped the act, meeting her gaze with calm eyes. "I'm Jane." I pointed at Lisa, who was a few steps in front of me. "Do you want me to be her little maid?" I started to cry, appearing deeply aggrieved. "Can I refuse? I don't want to be someone else's maid. I'll pay back the money my mom got for selling me, I swear," I choked out. In my past life, she was the only one not swayed by Lisa's charm. She noticed my growth and praised me for my progress. Of course, I wasn't naive enough to think I could beat Lisa's halo, but Grandma valued family blood and interests most. She'd pamper you if you were a smith, but discard you if not. To keep her attention, I grew, trying hard to meet her expectations. Yet I always fell short compared to Lisa, often getting caught in her poorly constructed schemes. I guess she was ultimately disappointed. "My dear child, of course, Grandma wouldn't make you a maid. You know what? You are my biological granddaughter, the little princess of our Smith family," she declared firmly. She was talking to everyone in the room as much as to me. "Grandma, Lisa is your granddaughter." Lisa ran over and hugged her, but the assistant instinctively pushed her away. Lisa struggled, crying even harder. Mary was also crying, holding her mouth in shock. Grandma stood up, holding my hand, leading me to the sofa. "Jane is a Smith child." The paternity test showed a 99% relationship. The assistant took the paternity test from the briefcase, and Lisa seized the moment to run over to Mary, who hugged her tightly, sobbing. Inside, I felt nothing. Scenes like this weren't uncommon in my past life, usually ending with me being blamed and urged to be more accommodating. Lisa was so pitiful. So why couldn't I just put up with it? It was really just blaming me for being Mary's real daughter, interrupting her and Lisa's delicate bond. For 4 years, a Smith bloodline wandered outside. I suspect something fishy about the baby swap back then. If it's a mistake, there's nothing we can do. But if it was intentional, our family can't let it slide, she said, glancing at Lisa who was cowering. Moreover, Jane here took Lisa's hardships. So what's there to consider? Let's announce this matter on a decent day, so Jane can regain her identity sooner, Grandma said. David, you're the child's father. It's your call. The man on the sofa nodded, face stern. He glanced at his wife. Fine, I'll get it handled this week. Meanwhile, Jane should take good care of herself at home. As for Lisa, Grandma interrupted him. Our family can certainly afford to raise another child. But given the complicated identities, and Lisa having taken Jane's place, it's only right she returns to her own home. The Williams couple's involvement is unclear, but regardless of their actions, Lisa is innocent. We aren't heartless, we'll provide for Lisa comfortably for life. Grandma turned to me, a no-nonsense attitude. It's best for her to return while she's young and get back on track. Lisa seemed to understand enough to realize they wanted to send her away. She cried, pleading with her mom and dad not to leave her, promising she'd behave. Jack tried to calm her down. I stared at my filthy flip-flops. I didn't expect much. I knew how this farce would end. Mary couldn't bear Lisa's heart-wrenching cries, and David, ever the faithful husband, would cave to Mary's wishes. In the end, Lisa stayed. It wasn't even that hard. We lived under the guise of fraternal twins, one the eldest lady of the Smiths, the other the second. Mary looked at me, a mix of guilt and longing in her eyes, as she glanced at Lisa in her arms. 3 Mom, how about we keep Lisa? I've been raising her for 4 years now. She's like my daughter. We've had over 1,000 days together. I didn't know Lisa wasn't my real daughter. I thought she was, and gave her everything. This whole mix-up shows she's meant to be with us. We can afford to raise another child. And Jane, she needs time to adjust. Having Lisa around could help, right? I wanted to roll my eyes and point out, sure, she's the daughter you worked so hard to raise. But me, your real daughter, didn't get any of that. I suffered in someone else's world for 4 years. And now, I'm supposed to be understanding and let you continue to care for the one who stole my life. No way. I tugged on Grandma's skirt next to me. She glanced at me, cutting off Mary mid-sentence. I'm hot, I said. Everyone looked my way. It's boiling in August and September, even with the AC in this house. Yet, I'm wearing this hand-me-down, fuzzy sweater meant for fall, with sleeves way too long. After they swapped me with Lisa, her real parents never bought me a single piece of clothing. Everything I had was leftovers from distant relatives' kids, whether it fit or not. When the assistant heard I was hot, he asked if he'd take me to change. Grandma nodded, but I put up a fight. She looked a bit puzzled, but let the assistant roll up my sleeves a bit to help cool me down. With everyone watching, the assistant pushed my sleeves up to my forearms, revealing dark bruises. Someone sucked in a breath. Mary pushed Lisa aside and rushed to me, but Grandma was already holding my arm, demanding answers. How did this happen, Jane? Tell Grandma, who did this? Mary was crying beside me, wanting to come close, but not getting the chance. The Williams treated me horribly. Their life's frustrations were taken out on me. Sons were gold, daughters were grass. Especially when the daughter wasn't even theirs. They figured no one would ever discover their swap. So they felt free to act however they wished. If you tell anyone, I'll kill you. That warning stayed locked in a 4-year-old's mind. Even when my real parents found me, I didn't dare say anything. Only the staff around me knew, and they weren't about to stick their necks out for some unwanted kid. The marks always fade eventually. Grown-up me regrets not telling someone about the abuse at the Williams earlier. Maybe I was scared, or pride got in the way. Little me knew getting hit was bad. It meant I did something wrong. I didn't want my parents to see that. But now, I'm back for a do-over. I won't be the pushover. If revenge is needed, revenge will be taken. At 4 years old, I don't need pride. I looked at my bruises and said, Jane wasn't good. Mom and Dad punished Jane. David slammed his folder onto the marble coffee table, rage all over his face. Lisa started to bawl at the sight of my injuries. Grandma glanced over at her, anger twisting her face. This is a slap in the Smith family's face. We treasured their child, and they treated little Jane like this. Enough is enough. Send Lisa back. I've put up with this pain long enough. But watching this play out differently from what I remember felt pretty satisfying. I wonder if Lisa's luck will keep her here this time. The staff worked fast. Lisa's room was emptied out quickly, second only to David and Maris, and right across from Jack's. I smirked, pretending to be pitiful worked. I never got to stay there before. After 2 months, I put on some weight. My skin was looking better, and I was starting to show David and Maris good features more than ever. But I learned before, looks don't guarantee affection. Soon after I returned, Grandma sent Lisa back to the Williams. Mary hesitated, but abuse is a red flag for David and Grandma. Lisa's charms couldn't save her. They started digging into the truth behind the swap and pressing charges against the Williams. But I knew Lisa's absence was only temporary. She'd come back sooner or later. These 2 months, Mary was nothing but wonderful to me. I'm her child after all. Maybe she wanted to make up for lost time, build a connection. I'm just along for the ride, accepting the attention while it lasts. Though sometimes, she slips up and calls me Lisa, or misses the kid she raised for 4 years. Not my concern. This rebirth feels like I'm watching from outside the story. I don't feel their ups and downs, the emotions don't hit as deep. My brother, 5 years older, keeps his distance. He's clever, always polite, but he can't hide his feelings like an adult. Mary wants us to bond, but he always finds an excuse. His eyes look at me with cold blame, as if I'm a thief who stole his perfect 4-member family. Like I pushed his sister out. Invasion of the little beggar. Okay, fine. In some way, I did kind of disrupt their family, but I'm almost pleased about it. In mid-November of this year, my family threw a big birthday party for me, my very first one ever. It was like they were trying to make up for all the birthdays I missed. It was also to introduce me to everyone. I was held by David, calmly accepting the kind words from all these big shots. They wished me joy, success, and a smooth path ahead. They all complimented me, saying how my features took the best traits from my parents. For those few hours, I really felt like a princess being treasured in someone's hands. But being a princess has a time limit. I'm like Cinderella, ready to lose that glow when time's up. David needed to stay and mingle at the party, but Mary wanted to take Jack and me home. Her eagerness gave me some ideas. By the time we got to the villa, it was 10:30. At the entrance, Mary let go of my hand and quickly walked to the living room. Jack, unusually, seemed less composed than usual. Lisa was sitting on the couch in a white dress, looking much more mature. She lay in Mary's arms, crying softly, saying how she missed her mom, dad, and brother. Lisa, welcome home. I heard my brother, who never liked me, say happily. I quietly slipped back to my room from the foyer. Good kids go to bed early. The next morning, Lisa was already sitting obediently at the table. Guess those struggling days at the Williams made her less of a picky eater. When Mary saw me come down, she gently lifted me onto my chair and asked if I slept well. Even Jack was nicer, pushing the milk closer when I couldn't reach. Lisa, sitting beside him, watched me nervously, not showing a hint of her old self. Jane, Mary said, we need to talk about something. Lisa's real parents got arrested by the police. She has nowhere to go. Can she stay with us? I took a sip of the milk. I've always hated it, so gross. I listened quietly as Mary explained how pitiful Lisa was. David had already gone to work, and Grandma was back at the old house. So the three of them eagerly waited for my response. I glanced at Lisa's exposed, fair arms and lowered my lashes. Isn't that Mom and Dad's decision? I wanted to say no. I wanted to kick her out, make her feel looked down upon. I wanted her to be beaten, just like me. I wanted her to suffer like I did. But could you really grant me that satisfaction? Mary patted my head, smiling contently. Jane's so understanding. We'll be a family of 5 now. The Williams couple was sent to jail by the Smiths, and with Lisa kicked out of the Smiths family records, she couldn't inherit anything. Grandma just turned a blind eye. In the end, Lisa stayed as the adopted daughter of the Smith family. I couldn't help but notice how changes seem big, yet kind of non-existent. Mary loved keeping up that sibling-like harmony and often tried having her 3 kids together. But clearly, I didn't fit in with them. At first, Lisa was well behaved. By nature, she was a little wary of me, trying to make her presence known secretly. But I couldn't stand Lisa's sneaky arrogance. Whenever she was being all cutesy with Mary, she'd sneak glances at me, as if showing off. She'd chirp away, reminding me of trips with them before I returned, or gifts from Mom and Dad. And with Jack, even worse. Brother, why are you only holding my hand? Sister's right beside us. Brother, you're the best brother in Lisa's heart. We'll be siblings forever. Listening to this made me want to throw up. I couldn't bother dealing with Lisa's irritating digs, so I decided to play the sickly girl persona, like a delicate flower. Medical checkups wouldn't find anything, but given I was abused for 4 years since birth, being weak wasn't a stretch. I received endless attention. Grandma came back to scold David and Mary, leaving Lisa scared to come out of her room, acting much like the scolded child. Don't underestimate Lisa. She's young, but definitely no rabbit. At least, I wasn't stuck in the middle of their little show, getting bored by Lisa's bad acting and Jack's stupidity. This act is popular. Whatever Lisa wanted before, or whenever she was upset, things were brought to her easily back then. But now, it's my turn. Lisa entered my room without knocking, for the first time since she returned. I got mad that she didn't knock. The pink walls were repainted cream white, because I said pink made me uneasy. Everything was changed to suit my tastes. She walked over, her eyes slightly red from seeing how her old room had been transformed to mine, giving me a strange, satisfied thrill. I don't see it as weird, just felt good reclaiming what's mine. Standing by the bed, she watched me playing with a Rubik's Cube, starting her subtle jabs. I'm sorry, sis. I was chatting with brother earlier, and didn't notice you weren't feeling well. You need to take care of yourself. Don't worry Mom and Dad. Mom had Auntie make all kinds of health soups for me, things like bird's nest, white fungus. I don't even remember them all. That's why I'm in good shape. I knew what she meant. I'm so close to brother. I didn't even notice you. You don't belong among us. I'm not like you, causing trouble for Mom and Dad. Look, Mom spoils me. You didn't get that before. Jealous. 5 of course. I wasn't mad. I didn't even look up. Just kept quickly spinning the Rubik's Cube in my hands. Only one side left. Oh, by the way, look, sis. She held up a small, red triangular charm bag in front of me. It had some landscapes in gold stamping, and a few Sanskrit phrases embroidered with gold thread. Pretty fancy, I thought. Isn't it pretty? Grandma gave this to me at the 100-day celebration. It's so nice that I kinda want to ruin it. Mom said that the abbot of the Lingtai temple is friends with Grandma. She got this charm bag when she went to the temple to pray and burn incense. The abbot said it would protect her granddaughter, keeping her safe and sound forever. I used to not like wearing it. It didn't go with most of my dresses. Click. The Rubik's Cube was solved on all 6 faces. I looked at her. So, are you here to give that back to me? Ha. A gift for the granddaughter. You sure it's you? She quickly pulled the charm back, clutching it to her chest, eyes brimming with tears, shaking her head. I'm sorry, sis. I can give you anything, but this is Grandma's gift to me. It's her blessing for me. I can't give it to you. Could this be called giving back? The door to my room was open, and I heard a door open and close in the bedroom across the hall. The little brat started crying even harder, like I was about to skin her or something. Jack walked in. At 12 years old, he'd already skipped a grade to middle school. Not a little kid anymore. He frowned at me and then walked over to Lisa. Lisa, what's wrong? Why are you crying? Lisa found her support and threw herself into Jack's arms, wailing, Brother, Lisa is so sad. Sis wants the charm Grandma gave me. I can give sister anything. Dad and Mom gave her everything, even the room. But this is Grandma's charm for me. Lisa can't bear to part with it. But I'm also scared sister will get mad. I watched as Jack, filled with pity, wiped Lisa's tears away with his thumb and comforted her. Lisa's charm is Lisa's. No one can take it from you. Don't be sad anymore, or you'll look like a little crying kitty. Lisa turned her head and gave me a resentful look, and the schadenfreude in her eyes was glaringly obvious. Once Jack finished comforting Lisa, he finally decided to look at me. Jane, you already have so much. There are plenty of charms out there, even prettier ones. If you want one, Big Brother can buy it for you tomorrow. Just don't fight with Lisa. Then, he took the still sniffling Lisa out, closing the door behind them. I sat on the bed, staring at the wall for a good while, puzzled. Shouldn't his intelligence be higher than this if he skipped a grade? What's Lisa's is Lisa's. If I say it's mine, it's mine. Even if I don't want it, it's still mine. As long as it was within my tolerance range. I could ignore these little tricks with one eye open and one eye closed. If I argued with Lisa all the time, what difference would that be from the old me? She's just an elementary school kid. I don't need to exhaust myself over her. It doesn't make sense to inflict 1,000 wounds while harming 800 of myself. But I must congratulate her. She's really on the edge of my patience this time. Lisa plays the piano quite well, which is a highlight on her socialite resume. In the past life, she showcased this skill at various parties, receiving praises from all kinds of wealthy wives as a unique talent. Thanks to early guidance and the Smith family hiring a piano maestro without a care for the cost. Yet, no one knew I could play too. I was even better than her. Back then, I was just envious that she could sit on the piano bench with Mary, who would adjust her fingers' position and praise her gently when she played well, even patting her head. I shamelessly imagined myself in Lisa's place, pretending I could feel such love. For this, I secretly practiced hard where no one would see, thinking if I played better than her, I might finally get something she always had. But I never seemed to be favored. Whenever Lisa finished performing in front of everyone and invited me to play, I could never hit my usual level. The suppression of a spotlight halo, how ridiculous. The leaves outside the window swayed violently in the summer storm, but it wouldn't last long. I started breathing heavier, my head feeling twice as heavy as usual. I'd seen this coming, this bad cold. The memory was vivid, because it was the first serious illness after being found. I was hospitalized for half a month with 4 drips. Plus Lisa went to a competition that day and won a national first prize for children's piano performance. While Lisa basked in the spotlight and Mary's company, I was taken to the hospital by David and the maid. I picked up my phone from the bedside and dialed the house's number. "Hello, Jane, is there something you need from Grandma?" I heard my voice, weak and helpless. "Grandma, I don't feel well." The weakness was real, the helplessness was faked. I wasn't so fever-brained that I'd forget to lean on my support. At 9 p.m., Lisa got out of the car, with a shiny trophy in one hand and holding Mary with the other. It was the happiest day since she became the adopted daughter. Being on the podium with everyone's eyes on her, the adoration, jealous glances from lagging contestants, and her mom's knowing praise made her feel she was still the cherished eldest daughter of the Smith family. She glanced at her trophy, a smirk forming. She thought, didn't sis just recently start learning piano? I should show her my trophy when we get home. Holding Mary's hand tighter, her face full of innocent maturity. Mom, maybe I should help sis with her piano. After all, I just won an award. Mary chuckled, thinking her daughter was just innocent with a child's heart, indulging with laughter. "Oh, you just won and already thinking of teaching your sister." Their warm atmosphere was crushed as they crossed the threshold into the foyer. 6 Grandma was sitting on the couch, not looking too happy, as she stared at the mother and daughter who just walked in. Lisa saw her and instinctively hid behind Mary. Mary hadn't quite figured out what was going on. She gently asked her mother-in-law why she came so late, without letting the servants give them a heads up. Grandma let out a sarcastic laugh. "Mary, I always thought you were a sensible person. David's been busy with work these past years, and you've kept the house in great order. I understand you might have gotten attached to that imposter girl you've been raising and want to keep her around. But when your real daughter is home alone with a high fever, dialing her grandma for help, while you're off attending a piano competition with the imposter, aren't you letting your biological daughter down a bit too much as a mother?" I laid properly on the bed with an 4 in my right hand. The family doctor had just given me a fever-reducing shot, so I was feeling a lot better, but I'd rather keep my eyes shut and pretend to be asleep. After calling Grandma, she showed up pretty quickly, and even interrupted David's video conference in the study. Right now, David was in my room listening to the doctor's advice. Honestly, I didn't have much to blame on David. Like Grandma, he valued blood ties, and emotions can be nurtured over time. Last time around, even with Lisa's protagonist aura, he tried to stay rational. He was a man devoted to his wife, and with being so caught up with work, he didn't doubt Mary's judgment when Lisa set me up, nor did he intervene. He was a good businessman and a good husband, just not a dutiful father. I heard the sound of urgent footsteps at the door. Mary rushed into my room, eyes on my fever-flushed face, crying as she sat on the edge of my bed, leaning over me to feel the temperature of my skin softly with her hand. "Jane, why didn't you tell Mommy you were having a fever?" Her slightly scolding tone carried warmth. My heart felt a bit numb, like paralyzed. I couldn't keep pretending to sleep at this point, so I acted like Mary's words woke me up. "Mom," Mary responded, and David walked over, patting his wife's shoulder to comfort her, while also reminding me, Jane, if you're ever feeling unwell, you should tell mommy or daddy, or at least one of the nannies. I hesitated, my eyelashes quivering a bit. Wouldn't that be bad? Why would Jane think that? You're mommy's daughter. If you're not feeling well, it's natural for mommy to be worried. I spoke with such an innocent tone, but sister said my health issues might make mom and dad worried. I don't want mom and dad to worry about me, or be a burden to you. David stiffened and felt a pang at my last words. Lisa told me not to make you guys worry. Don't blame me for being inconsiderate and not telling you. Blame me for being too considerate. Dad's very busy, working late every day, and mom has to take sister to practice piano and attend competitions. Jane didn't want to distract mom and dad. I could just tough it out when I feel unwell. I've always had a knack for saying things that pull at people's heartstrings. Mary, under my influence, was now crying in David's arms. I knew that kid Lisa wasn't as innocent as she seemed, and at such a young age, stirring up trouble in front of Jane. Is she reluctant to give up the Smith family daughter title and holds a grudge against Jane for taking her place after returning? Grandma entered the room. I've always trusted her ability to see through things. After all, having been immersed in high society since birth, all sorts of tricks seemed trivial before her, let alone Lisa's, which were even less than trivial. So generally, I wouldn't play smart in front of her. What's real is real. If Lisa's parents hit me, I'd just show the bruises. If she told me being sick would worry David and Mary, then I'd genuinely not bother them. I'm just a little simple-minded. Jane, listen to Grandma. You're the Smith family's little princess. Everything about you is most important. Don't believe what some people say in front of you. And also, Grandma will teach you to have your own discernment. She came over to tidy my covers, showing a bit of disappointment on her face, but a touch of tenderness in her eyes. I nodded in agreement. Of course, I'm the most important thing. Nothing is more important than myself. In the end, I reached out from under the covers, pulling her hand. Grandma, when Jane was just asleep, I had a very scary dream. The attention of everyone in the room was drawn to my words. I dreamed that when I was very little, Grandma gave me this very pretty red talisman, but when I was little, I hadn't even seen Grandma, right? Then I dreamed that I was walking alone in a temple. Mom and Dad vanished, and an old man in a grey robe with a jade hairpin stopped me. I was scared. He asked me where the red talisman was, and I got anxious. Jane remembered Grandma giving it to me as a child, but I couldn't find it anywhere. When he saw I couldn't find it, he got mad and gently pushed me, and I fell from the 10th floor, and there I was, on the ground, seeing so many people surrounding me, and they were all laughing. I seemed as if spooked by the nightmare, tears sliding down from the corners of my eyes, disappearing into my hair. Even now, I can remember that pain. Mary quickly comforted me, using tissues to dry my tears. Grandma, thoughtful, also comforted. Grandma did prepare a gift for Jane. It was meant for your 100th day, but Jane was taken by bad people. When you came back, Grandma forgot. Tomorrow, Grandma will bring it over for you. Mary, beside her, instinctively responded, Mom. This? She glanced up at Mary from the corners of her eyes, but said nothing, silencing Mary. Naturally, I nodded obediently, pretending not to know anything, as after all, it was mine to begin with. 7. I don't know if it's because of some plan I made, but this time, my bad cold healed way faster than it did last time. Instead of being all alone in a hospital with an incompetent maid, I'm at home, with Mary personally taking care of me, maybe to make up for some guilt from that day. Mother's love is truly something amazing. Lisa didn't throw a party this time. She didn't even wave a trophy in front of my sickbed to show off like she did before. And I took her good luck charm. I looked at this charm in my hand. I didn't even want it that bad. I just tossed it into a random drawer. But while pretending to nap, I overheard some juicy gossip between the maid and nurse about our family drama. Word on the street was Lisa cried when the good luck charm was taken back. My grandma sent a maid to get it, and naturally, Mary felt sorry for Lisa. Lisa's kind of a brat, and Jack's just her little minion. Even though Lisa didn't win this round, I bet she got some compensation. Having a mansion this big is annoying. I can't see the gossip unfold firsthand. Lisa had a good laugh at my expense back in the day. She'd mock me for staying a country bumpkin even after regaining my identity. And she'd still find ways to prove I wasn't as good as her, even if she's the fake one with all the family love. A family that didn't fit me, a school that didn't fit me, always beneath Lisa. My life seemed like a clown act, just to make her shine. It really got to me. Hey sis, you're awake. Come have breakfast. Mom, Dad, and brother have been waiting forever. Lisa's wearing a little white dress with an apron, calling me over. Today's our first day in college. It's funny. Over the years, she's been sly and gotten really good at manipulating. But after losing to me a couple of times, she's not that naive heiress she used to be. Now she's on this determined and resilient path. How hard did she really try though? She missed out on our college by several points. David had to pay a ton to get her in. Isn't it weird how someone with a protagonist's halo could miss out on college? I pondered about it a lot. Her halo seemed to lose its effect ages ago. Besides playing the piano, she's not really good at much else. Thankfully, the halo's not suppressing me, but I can't let my guard down. Maybe the protagonist's halo only works when she meets her destined hero. And that hero is Lucas from the Walton family, the only son in his third year studying finance. The Smiths and Waltons made an offhand engagement deal back in the day. So by logic, I'm his fiancé. But he only has eyes for Lisa. Back when I heard about this so-called engagement, I was thrilled, thinking he could save me. At home, overlooked, watching family spoil a girl who took over my life. Outside, ostracized, everyone only knew Miss Lisa from the Smith family. A self-loathing girl saw a flicker of hope. Could this splendid man save her from misery, give care and love? But soon she finds out it's just another burden. I walked over, they were all seated already. At the long table, Mary sat close to David on one side, with Jack and Lisa opposite them. The table seemed big, but another person would be one too many. Forget it, I'll take the head seat. At that point, Lisa stood timidly, biting her lip. Sister, do you want to sit here? Still putting on a show after it's all over? Why offer now? I picked up a slice of toast with a grin, casually saying, I thought you signed with some film company. She's such an actress. Of course not, sister. Lisa just started college and wants to be a pianist. The entertainment industry's way too complicated. I won't go there. Oh, now she's looking down on others' jobs. Mary gently chimed in. It's good you're not going there. Lisa, stay put. Your sister's not that petty. You're too considerate. Leave breakfast to the maids next time. You're also our daughter, a miss of the Smith family. Just be happy and enjoy life, okay? Lisa suddenly looked like she was about to cry. Lisa's scared sister doesn't like me. Scared mom and dad might abandon me. Without them keeping me, I wouldn't survive. So I want to contribute more to the family. Though I was caught off guard by another undeserved attack, I stayed quiet, calmly eating my breakfast. Jack spread jam evenly on toast, handing it to Lisa beside him, comforting her softly. Mom and dad wouldn't do that. The maid near Lisa agreed. Yeah, Miss Lisa, the eldest has only been Mr. and Mrs. S. daughter for 14 years, while you've been theirs for 18. The table went silent for a moment. I glanced up to see which maid it was. Over the years, we've gone through so many maids. I'd never seen one that clueless. The maid realized her mistake, standing nervously by Lisa, who was petite and pale, just like Lisa. Looking closer, I recognized her, one of Lisa's loyal sidekicks. Maybe Lisa's current lack of success meant she didn't rise in rank either, ending up a little maid in the Smith's kitchen. In the past, when Lisa was the adored fake princess, this Lily maid had more presence than I did. Lily was brainwashed into thinking this highly favored fake would be bullied by little old me, and would always step in to defend her, often targeting me. New groceries got taste tested by Miss Lisa first. Lisa would leave Mary's specially designed outfit in shared spaces, pretending they were mine. Then Lily would tell me off for touching Lisa's clothes. She'd stop me from going to the piano room, claiming Miss Lisa was practicing inside. Don't disturb her, she'd say. Now that I think about it, I'm really pissed. But Lisa never expected her teammate to be such an idiot this time. She was definitely caught off guard. David put his spoon down and spoke with authority. when did you get hired? Wasn't there training on not discussing the owners before you started? Sir, I'm sorry. I said something I shouldn't have. Lily bowed quickly, admitting her mistake. Working for the Smith family meant a good salary and an easy job. Something she couldn't afford to lose. You're fired. Let the butler settle your pay for this month, David decided. Lily started to cry, hoping Lisa would speak up for her. But unfortunately, this was a different Lisa who couldn't even help herself, let alone someone else. Within minutes, Lily, who used to act so high and mighty in her past life, was taken away by the butler. Who knows if she regrets standing up for Lisa now without thinking it through. But why should I care if she regrets it or not? She started crying and said, I'm sorry, sister. I didn't know Lily would say that. I just can't let go of Mom, Dad, and brother. I didn't mean anything by it. Mom, maybe I should just leave. You've raised Lisa for 18 years. If I stay, my sister won't be happy. I chuckled, all talk and no action. If you want to leave, just go. She didn't expect me to say that and paused her crying. I didn't know my sister had such a big problem with me. I just really can't leave Mom and Dad. Mary patted my hand. Enough. Both of you are my daughters. Nobody's leaving. I felt nothing inside. Without Lisa's influence holding me back, I've shown my strengths. I'm elegant and pretty, admired by many. I've won awards and have a lot of skills. In the social circle, I'm known as the beloved daughter, the granddaughter, and daughter Mary boasts about at events. At home, I'm not ignored. I keep a low profile at school, but still, people like me. Lisa is just an adopted daughter now, nowhere near as cocky as before, only pretending in front of others. What I longed for in the past life was achieved easily in this life, but I'm not as happy as I thought I would be. A single piece of candy could bring 10 times the happiness before, even though I didn't have it then. Now, even with 100 pieces, there's no joy. I couldn't feel love before, and I don't want to feel it now. Breakfast was awkward for everyone. After eating, I got ready to head to school. Before leaving, David handed me a black card. Jane, now that you're headed to college, here's an unlimited black card. Your company dividends will be deposited here too. Buy whatever you like. I accepted it naturally. The card did lighten up my mood a bit. Lisa came over. Sister, I really envy you. Dad really loves you. She looked down, twisting her dress. Of course, Dad loves his daughter. David sometimes gave Lisa money, following his wife's wishes, but never any shares. I noticed Lisa glaring at the black card, clearly envious. Mary suggested, David, maybe give Lisa a few $100,000. Young people have a lot of expenses these days. David pulled out a regular bank card from his briefcase. Thank you, Dad, but Lisa shouldn't accept it. Tired of her fake emotions, I got in the car first. Shortly, Lisa joined with 2 bank cards in her hand, visibly embarrassed. Sister, sorry I'm late. It's my brother's fault. He insisted on giving me a card. I glanced over and coldly teased, no worries, sis. Didn't you say you wanted to leave? Take more and enjoy yourselves. Lisa shot back. Mom says she can't bear for me to leave. The car wasn't spacious, and the divider separated us from the driver. The atmosphere got tense. I smirked. Your parents got out of jail, right? Seeing Lisa's face turn pale, I finally looked away, satisfied. The university is just an hour and a half drive away. Once we got there, I got out of the car immediately while the staff helped Lisa with her luggage. Lisa chose to stay at the dorms, going home on weekends. Meanwhile, Grandma bought me a high-end apartment near the campus. Walking under the sycamore trees in the campus, I ignored 2 seniors trying to get my contact. I stared at the art building at the end, with a dash of medieval vibes. I looked up to the top floor, the 10th. The sunlight was blinding, squinting my eyes as I drifted back to the past. Lisa had asked to meet during junior year. The Walton family wanted me and Lucas to fulfill our engagement, strengthening ties with the Smiths. But I knew Lucas didn't like me. He liked Lisa, my fake sister. The Walton family only cared about the bloodline. Lisa was probably there to ask me to step aside from the engagement. On the 10th floor rooftop, holding a newly diagnosed depression report, I looked at the bustling world below. For a moment, I thought about surrendering to my vulnerabilities and ending it all, shattering my pain. Lisa was late, and as I stood at the edge, I felt a push from behind, and I fell. Instead of pleading for me to call off the engagement, the pampered Lisa of 20 years thought. Why not erase me? It would clear the path, truly making her the sole daughter of the Smiths. The psychological diagnosis in my hand would have been the best excuse to absolve her. I snapped out of my thoughts and headed to the freshman registration desk. Not long after the school year started, the school sports day kicked off as scheduled. Alice, who was sitting next to me, asked if I wanted to participate in any events. I shook my head to say no. You really aren't joining. Jane, you're so pretty. If you joined, wouldn't you just make our art department proud? And you'd totally catch the eye of guys from other departments. Plus, you can earn extra credits. Alice's tone was definitely a bit over the top. I chuckled. Nah, I'm not that athletic. I'd be afraid of embarrassing myself. Alright, if you say so, she sighed, clearly disappointed. Sigh. I watched her with interest, knowing she had more to say. If Jane isn't competing, then how about joining our cheer squad? We're down one person, and I totally didn't save a spot just for you or anything. I was a bit helpless, but Alice was one of the few people I knew at school, so I couldn't just dismiss her. Awesome, love YA. Alice pouted as she tried to peck me on the cheek, but I playfully shoved her away. By the way, the basketball game between our art department and the finance, medical, and arts schools is at 2 p.m. tomorrow. There's no dress code, since beating finance and medical is tough. Just remember to dress cute, okay? She whispered in my ear. There are hot guys. When I walked into the gym, the place was already buzzing. There were a lot of people, and according to Alice, they came to see the two heartthrobs from the junior year finance and medical schools. The bleachers were packed. I didn't expect Lisa to be here too, though it makes sense since she's from the arts department. She was sitting in the front row of the bleachers, surrounded by a group of 7 or 8 fawning followers. Since I came from behind, she didn't see me. She was just looking over at the finance section. But Lisa was in contact with Lucas this early. I remember in the past life, she proudly told me. I met Lucas during an event in sophomore year. Alice noticed I was staring at Lisa's group and leaned into gossip. That's the arts department's cheer squad. They probably think they have no chance, so they're not in any uniform. Hey, you see the one in the pink puffy skirt sitting in the middle? She meant Lisa. I nodded. You know who she is. She's the Smith's heiress. You know, the Smith family, one of the most powerful in our city. I heard from a friend that she recently got voted as the department beauty queen. Look, that skirt she's wearing is from CS' latest collection, worth 70 or 80 grand. She murmured, almost in a whisper. I suspect she bought those votes to win the beauty queen title. Jane, not that I'm jealous. My dad's an engineer. He used to work for the Smith family, and I saw the Smith family CEO and his wife at a company party. So, I think this heiress is either adopted or there was some genetic miracle. That's honestly a fair point. Lisa got her parents' short stature and average looks. It took expensive skincare, cosmetic treatments, and designer clothing to just be considered passably pretty. Being named the department beauty is questionable. Her being the arts department's beauty queen is kind of laughable. I wasn't sure what Alice was thinking, but she suddenly seemed glum. It'd be great if I were an heiress too, having all these people fawn over me. I knew she was envying the attention Lisa got. You look at that high mountain, but maybe it has no firewood. Alice nodded. Yeah, I think my family's pretty happy too. TV shows always say that there are lots of issues in rich families. Soon the match between the arts and fine arts departments started. The winner would face finance and medical. Both cheer squads were getting ready, and then something unexpected happened. The space allocated for both cheer squads wasn't huge, so we went up in batches. I was in the third batch, Alice in the first. Because of the gym's layout, the two cheer squads were together, and they somehow got into a fight. It started when an art student accidentally stepped on Lisa while cheering. With such a small area, stepping on someone was inevitable, and many people got stepped on. That art student apologized to Lisa, but she stepped on who? The Smith heiress. Lisa's friends immediately shoved the girl to the ground, demanding she kneel and apologize to earn Lisa's forgiveness, and to put the art department in its place. Lisa stood in an area cleared for her, looking down at the girl on the floor with a superior air. Her words were soft and kind. Oh dear. I don't mind being stepped on, though it hurts. But if it happened to someone else, that wouldn't be good. Yet she didn't tell her followers to let the girl go. The fine arts students couldn't stand it either. We're all kids pampered by our families, and no one wants to be humiliated in front of hundreds in a gym. Kneeling now would surely lead to being bullied into dropping out. It was just a step. The area's this small. Everyone gets stepped on. If you're so delicate, why be a cheerleader? Alice went to help the fallen girl, but got pushed down by a follower, landing hard on her backside. The follower taunted, who said you could help her. Do you know who she stepped on? Lisa's the Smith's heiress. The Smith family. Know them. If you injured her, could you pay for it? Having you kneel and apologize is already generous. Let it go, I'm fine. Lisa felt reassured from her protective circle. I walked towards the cheerleading space with my water bottle. The crowd ahead parted, giving me a path to the center of the incident. Smith heiress. What an influence, Lisa. Lisa clearly didn't expect me there. Panic flashed on her face. Sister, what are you doing here? That's right. I never went around boasting I was a Smith daughter. My freshman year classes weren't heavy, so I'd usually head back to my apartment when I had free time. I rarely joined in on school events. If Alice hadn't invited me, I wouldn't have joined the cheerleading squad, and I wouldn't have realized someone was pretending to be the princess, throwing her weight around. I crouched down and helped Alice up. Her eyes were red, and she urgently whispered to me, Jane, don't argue with them or they'll bully you. I signaled her not to worry. Kitty, enough. Really, stop it. Lisa was genuinely anxious this time, but her sidekick, Kitty, didn't get it and thought Lisa was playing hard to get. She folded her arms, looked all smug, and said, who are you? Since Lisa calls you her sister, you must be the Smith's adopted daughter, right? Does a dog raised by the Smiths dare to bark in front of its owner? Lisa did not look too pleased. I turned to Lisa. I'm the adopted daughter. Lisa quickly clarified. No, sister, that's not what Kitty meant. She doesn't know our situation. Lisa was scared, worried I'd spill the truth. The more she feared it, the more I wanted to do it. I raised my voice so people around could hear. Lisa, our Smith family has treated you well for years, and you repay me by ruining my reputation everywhere. As soon as those words left my mouth, combined with Lisa's panicked look, everyone understood the truth. Turns out, Lisa was the adopted daughter, using the princess's name to flaunt her power and ruining the princess's reputation. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Alice looking shocked, and Lisa's little crew looked deflated and panicked, staring at me. I'll discuss this with Grandma and Dad. Take care of yourself. As more people started watching, I supported Alice and headed to the bleachers. The girl who fell was helped up by her friend. Before leaving, I felt someone watching me. I turned back and noticed Lucas, sitting a few rows in front, smiling at me once he realized I saw him. Was the male lead going to stand up for Lisa, after exposing Lisa's true identity, Alice, the girl who was pushed? And I decided to leave the cheerleading squad. Taking advantage of the long break after the sports event, I went back to the old house. Grandma was on a rocking chair in the back garden. She was close to 70, and though she took good care of herself, she still had some white hairs and wrinkles, but she was spirited as ever. Since starting college, I rarely went back to the Smiths. On weekends, if time allowed, I'd return to the old house. Grandma even had a room ready for me. I sat next to her, and the butler brought over a cup of floral tea just in time. I heard about the thing with Lisa. I've let your dad know too. Her card's temporarily frozen, and she doesn't have any servants or drivers. I sipped the warm tea and nodded quietly. I didn't have much to say about the punishment. Some people would still protect her. The consequences of revealing her identity were enough for her. Grandma sighed. You know, you always seem well behaved, but I feel like you're not happy. I paused, holding the cup. No, Grandma, I'm very happy. I know you resent that we kept Lisa, and your mom blinded by this imposter. Your dad sees it, but goes along with your mom, and your brother thinks he should be responsible for her, making you feel wronged. But Jane, don't worry, she won't surpass you. Your dad is sensible. She won't get any of the Smith shares. She chuckled. Everyone in our circle knows how excellent you are, Jane. I spoke with the Waltons matriarch recently. She's so fond of you and wants her son to meet you. But I said I'm not willing to part with you. Is Grandma pleased with Jane too? Grandma laughed. Of course, I am. I put down the teacup. As long as Grandma is pleased. Jane doesn't care about others' opinions, only Grandma's. And with that, I put a past life's regret to rest. The break flew by. After returning to school, Lisa's news seemed to dwindle. I guessed she'd lie low for now. Today's classes went on until the 5th and 6th periods. Leaving the building, I spotted an unexpected person. Jack was parked outside the art school. If he were looking for his sister, he should have been at the arts department for Lisa. Being here meant only one thing. He was here to confront me for Lisa. I ignored him and walked past, but he blocked my way. Jane, your brother wants to chat with you. Noticing the stares from others around us, I motioned to find a quiet place. College students love gossip, and I didn't want another rumor by the next day. We ended up on a secluded path behind the library. Hardly anyone came here, and it was close to the exit. After hearing Jack's pointless chatter, I could head back to my apartment. What do you want to say? Go ahead, I said flatly. Jack looked at me with exasperation. Jane, don't be like this. I heard about Lisa's actions. She's really sorry, apologizing every day at home. She feels really bad. She's just quite pitiful. I laughed bitterly. Jack, are you kidding me? Looking at your resume, I wouldn't think your brain was this slow. Lisa's pitiful. Oh yeah, she's so pitiful. Pity her parents swapped me with her to give her a life of luxury. Pity she didn't face 4 years of hell, no beatings, no starvation. Pity she has had everything while I had nothing. Jack rubbed his nose wearily. Jane, Lisa's all alone now, like an orphan. Why not let it go? And why is she all alone? Why did her parents end up in jail? Don't you know? You say she's without a home, brother. From the moment I was swapped, I didn't have a home either. Jack stood there, stunned. 11. The sky was getting darker. I was ready to leave, not interested in arguing with him any longer, when I spotted 2 scruffy middle-aged folks dragging Lisa into this alley. That pair looked shabby, but I'd never forget them. Childhood nightmares came rushing back, and I took a step back, involuntarily. Jack noticed and pulled me to hide behind a row of notice boards. Don't be scared. I rolled my eyes. Why would I be scared? The notice board was close to the alley. We couldn't see them, but we could clearly hear the conversation outside. I told you not to ask me for money anymore. Wasn't the tens of thousands I gave you last month enough? Why are you back? Lisa's voice was sharp. Come on, daughter, just give us a bit more. It's tough getting out of prison. No one will hire us. Your dad likes drinking and gambling. Money doesn't last long. Don't call me daughter. I'm not related to such messy parents. My dad is David, the chairman of the Smith family, and my mom is Mary of the Smith family. A slap rang out, followed by Lisa's scream. How dare you hit me? A hoarse voice growled. Why not? You're my daughter, and I'll hit you if I want. Don't recognize your old folks after pretending to be a phoenix for a few years. If your mom hadn't switched you with their real daughter back then, you wouldn't have had this good life. I'm telling you, get 50 grand for me this month, or I'll get the media involved. Everyone will know you're a fake, and let's see how you fit in then. Lisa seemed scared and quickly backed down. I really don't have that much money now. I'm not well liked at the Smith home. The old lady favors Jane over me and already had David cut off my card. So what? I don't care. I want that money in a month. Then why didn't you just kill Jane when you switched us? I am just an adopted daughter with no shares. How can I give you that much money? Lisa's mind started racing. If that old lady died, or if Jane died, I'd be the real Smith heiress. Then you could have all the money you wanted. Thank goodness for Jack. If he hadn't asked me out, I wouldn't have overheard such a thrilling plan to harm me. And thankfully, out of convenience, I chose this hidden spot and brought a recorder. Once that family trio left, Jack and I stepped out from behind the notice board. This is your pitiful sister you talked about. He seemed a bit angry and guilty. Jane. I didn't let him waste words and turned to leave. He caught up to me. Let me drive you home. It's not safe out here. I said nothing. My cold look made my rejection clear. I just wanted to keep my distance. He couldn't argue against me, so he followed behind in his car. But what difference did that make? Did he think I'd be touched? Did he think it made up for all the times he left me feeling wronged? Belated affection is worthless, and family warmth follows suit. On my way back, I ran into Lucas, surprisingly living in the same apartment building, just below me. Hey, I'm Lucas. We met at the basketball game before. Hello, Mr. Walton. I clutched my bag tight, worried he'd try taking my recorder. You live in this building too? I nodded. Can I call you Jane? I replied politely. It's just a name, Mr. Walton. Go ahead. The elevator reached his floor quickly. See you later, Jane. Back at my apartment, fearing my grandmother couldn't handle it, I sent the recording to David. He responded quickly, saying he'd gotten me a week off, wanted me to relax, and had 2 bodyguards nearby, promising to resolve everything in 3 days. Late that night, Mary called. David must have let her hear the recording. I figured the adopted daughter trying to harm her own blood and grandmother might cool her motherly feelings for Lisa. Yet I still didn't pick up. The next morning, my phone showed dozens of missed calls and video chats from Mary and Jack, practically every 10 minutes or so, like they hadn't slept all night. Meanwhile, I slept like a baby, just like the night they brought Lisa back. Soon my phone buzzed with a video call, and I answered. Mary's eyes were red and puffy from crying. Jane, my dear, I'm sorry. I was blind to bring Lisa back. Please don't blame me. I shook my head. I don't blame you, I said. There's no love, so there's no blame, no hope, no disappointment. Blaming is too much of a luxury for us. That afternoon I found out via the resident group that Jack bought the apartment across from mine. He sent a message saying he was worried about me living alone and would stay next door to protect me. I didn't care. With the power of the Smith family, handling those 2 ex-cons was a piece of cake. It was unlikely I'd be in any real danger. I sat on the couch watching TV when the doorbell rang. The smart doorbell showed Lucas at the door. Lucas, I still felt wary. Mr. Walton, is something up? Lucas gestured at a bag of treats for the camera. Jane, a classmate told me you've taken some leave. So since you're just upstairs, I figured I'd check on you. Are you feeling okay? I opened the door. Though unsure of Lucas's intentions, I had to keep the Walton family in mind. Leaving him outside seemed rude. Lucas stood at the doorstep respectfully, handing me the bag of sweets. Before I could say anything, the door across from me swung open. Jack, in his casual home clothes, quickly stepped in between me and Lucas. He didn't look like his usual polished self. He gave Lucas a once-over. We all run in the same circles, so it's not strange to bump into each other at gatherings. We know of each other. Lucas stayed cool and polite, nodding. Jack. But Jack didn't nod back. Instead, he turned to me and, almost pleading, said, Jane, it's dangerous these days. Why would you open the door to a stranger? From now on, just call your brother if something comes up, okay? I didn't want to take the desserts from Lucas, but with Jack standing there, I didn't want to waste time going back and forth. So, I thanked Lucas, stepped back, and closed the door. Then my phone buzzed with a flood of texts from Jack. Does Jane like desserts? Want your brother to get you more? What do you want for lunch? I can bring something after work. I think Lucas is interested in you. Sure, he's capable. But Jane, you don't need to worry about the engagement with him. It doesn't count. A week later, I went back to school. Jack wanted to drive me there. His constant attempts to please me were getting on my nerves. It's like he thought he could patch things up just like that. No way. Can you just stop bothering me? What's the point of all this? You know, in my mind, you'll always just be Lisa's brother. You blamed me when she lost her home, expected me to give way to her, told me her things were hers alone, tutored her, spoke on her behalf. You've always been the perfect brother to Lisa. All your care went to her. I stopped seeing you as my brother a long time ago. So, Jack, why bother? I left without caring how pale his face turned. At school, Lisa had dropped out and disappeared. Back at home, I heard Lisa's biological dad was in jail again, probably for life. Their plans got cut short before they could really do anything, and though we had recordings, it wasn't enough for legal action. But the guy gambled. Smith's family saw to it that his debts exploded. Every day, he pressured Lisa for money. But where would she get any? Mary was so done with her, kicked her out, and aired her dirty laundry for everyone to see. Lisa begged on her knees, crying her eyes and nose out, asking Mary for another chance. When Mary ignored her, she lost it and said things so vile they left Mary bedridden for weeks. With no income and her dad threatening to sell her off, Lisa pawned off her luxury clothes and bags, got a few million, but her dad snatched most of it. But gambling's a bottomless pit. That money vanished quickly, leaving her dad in debt, losing a limb in a scuffle, and eventually imprisoned again. This time, Smith's family made sure of it. The debts hung over Lisa and her mom. Then they vanished. In my third year of college, I saw her in the tabloids. Shocking. Low-tier starlet takes her bed to set. The comments roasted her. I wasn't surprised she'd end up in a job she once looked down on. Probably had no choice. It's hard to scale back your lifestyle. The tens of thousands she might make now aren't the easy pocket money David used to give her. It was at a social event where I last spotted her. From the VIP section on the second floor, I watched her, coated in heavy makeup. A slim man shorter than her stood beside her, introducing her like a pimp would to men in suits with exaggerated looks. I was on my way to the restroom when I overheard a woman with gold bracelets slapping her hard, hurling insults. Lisa screamed, "Do you know who I am? I'm the Smith family heiress." The woman spat, "You, don't you think I know? You're a fake, just an adopted kid. Mrs. Smith already exposed you. You're a traitor, saying you're the Smith heiress. Get a reality check. Which heiress messes around with men anyway? Don't you drag their name through the mud?" I wanted to wait it out until they finished, but their fight seemed endless. The woman with the gold bracelet spotted me and quickly smiled. "Lisa, didn't think you'd be at this event." Lisa turned, eyes full of hate. "Jane," she snapped, "it's your fault. All your fault. Why were you found? Why didn't you just stay missing?" As Lisa's outburst became crazed, the woman in gold quickly grabbed her, whispering, "Lisa, we should go. After that mess, Grandma regretted inviting me to the event and said she never wanted to see Lisa again." The gold bracelet woman helped shut Lisa down, and Smith's family gifted her plenty to keep her husband faithful. As my junior year came to a close, Grandma and I decided I should study abroad. I got a glowing recommendation from my teacher, not because I'm a Smith family heiress, but because of my passion for the field. Grandma was all for it, reminding me to visit home before I go. It had been a while, and she mentioned Mary missed me. Just before leaving, I went home. Mary cooked herself, and to be honest, it wasn't great. Both David and Jack were there, and we all had dinner together. It seemed Mary wanted to pour all her maternal love on me. She meticulously arranged every detail for my time abroad. 13, I politely thanked her. She cautiously asked if she could see me when I wasn't busy. I hesitated. The plane soared through the clouds as I reclined in my business class seat. The more I thought about it, the more the guy with the chiseled features and sunglasses sitting next to me seemed familiar. I turned my head a bit and caught his gaze. He took off his sunglasses and extended his hand to me. "Hi, I'm Logan from med school. We met a couple of years ago at the basketball game." I remembered that day right on the basketball court when I confronted Lisa. I had a bottle of water in my hand, and as I was helping Alice leave, a tall guy in a black jersey took the water from me. Cheerleaders usually hand out water, so I wasn't too surprised at the time. But I did look at his face for a second. I shook his hand back. "Hey, senior." At 20, I was starting another chapter of new beginnings. The end.